What's going on, guys? It's your boy Undead Enigma coming at you for another video, and this is going to be my first gameplay review. So today I decided that I wanted to do a review of Final Fantasy Type-0 HD collection, remaster, whatever you want to call it, not collection. But yeah, so I decided that I wanted to do a review of this game since I'd been uploading a lot about it. Well, I uploaded 2 streams that I had done. I've been streaming a little bit on the side. Check me out at twitch.tv/Sequoia, shameless plug. It'll be on my YouTube page, and I'll put the link in the description. But anyways, excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. This is the first gameplay review that I decided to do, or not gameplay review, but game review itself. So it'll be a little bit all over the place, but please just try to enjoy. So the first thing I want to talk about when we get to Final Fantasy Type-0 is the story. The story revolves around 14 characters known as Class 0. They're a bunch of badass, super OP characters who have access to magic and different abilities. And it's a pretty generic Final Fantasy story. Basically, the entire continent of Rubrum is at war, and it was kind of convoluted and hard to follow at times if you didn't really know what was going. There were a lot of terms used from previous games like Lassie and stuff, and I was just kind of there like, okay, I'm just gonna go with this. But it's a darker Final Fantasy title, to say the least. A lot of death, a lot of bloodshed, but I mean, it's not bad by any means. Like, the M rating is a little bit too much for this game, but the story is pretty convoluted and all over the place until you get to the end. So the story is meh, not a lot of substance. The next thing I want to talk about is the characters. So the 14 characters, 12 of which are named after a deck of cards: Ace, Deuce, Trey. Well, they're named numbers, but they go in the order of a deck of cards because there's Jack, Queen, King, and Ace. So anyways, these characters are pretty forgettable. They're pretty static, except for a few. Like, I really liked Sync because she was the airhead who swings around a mace, is really strong, does a lot of damage, but she was just kind of forgettable, I'd say. So, well, not even just her. Like, the entire cast was kind of forgettable, including Machina and Rem, who are the 2 characters that are added to Class 0 later. Well, after the first mission, and everybody's sort of forgettable. The characters don't really have much depth to them because in the story, whenever a person dies, the crystal that they worship, so to speak, makes them forget about the dead person. Like, they lose all their memories of them, so they never grow and develop really as characters. Like, loss doesn't affect them, and they're just kind of meh, whatever. They all try to be like emo badasses that just don't care and just kill everything, and it works, but it's boring until the end. They're all mama's boys too. Well, mama's boys and girls. They all love their mother so much because you find out in the story that they're not really human. They're made by this sorceress, Dr. Horatia, and she kind of, I don't really know what she did to make them, but they're different from everybody else, and they're sort of ostracized. They only really go with each other. They only really care about each other. They don't really care about anybody else. Next thing I want to talk about is the gameplay. The gameplay is not the greatest. It's a very hardcore PlayStation Portable port. This was an HD remake or remaster from the PSP title that we never got here, and it's the only version that we can play in proper English unless you play a fan-translated version of the PSP game. But it in no way, shape, or form utilizes the power of the PlayStation 4. That's the console that I played it on. I don't know about the Xbox One version or PC version, but I know that, I think there's a PC version, but I know that it just feels like a hard PSP port. Doesn't play very smoothly to the controller and sort of feels like it's all over the place. There was also a lot of motion blur that I noticed in it, which when the game first came out, they patched that because the motion blur in the game was first released. I could not play the game whatsoever. It was killing me. It was just giving me a headache, and I just couldn't stand it. Like, I would play the game for 20 minutes and I would get a headache because the motion blur was so bad. They patched it, but it's still pretty bad. The camera whips all over the place and has a really hard time sticking to one thing if you're not locked onto enemies. And it's very spammy. You just keep spamming the attack button and hoping to land these kill sight and break sight mechanics that are in the game. Break sights are these yellow things that come on the enemy, and kill sights are red. And kill sights, like, obviously kill the enemy, and break sights do a lot of damage, it's like a crit, but you can't trigger them per se. You just keep holding square, which is your basic attack button, and you just keep spamming until the thing dies and whatever you're trying to fight. So the only reason that I beat this game was because I found a level 99 glitch, where essentially what you have to do is there's this training facility that you can go to in the game, and when you go there, you leave your character there, and it makes you save and takes you to the home screen, and you can't play for a little bit. Well, if you start playing right away, then your character's not going to gain any experience. But you leave your character there for a little while, kind of like a daycare, but it stops the game. And when you leave your character there, they'll gain XP. So essentially what you do is you leave the character there, and then you go to the PlayStation home menu, because the game runs on the PlayStation's time. It doesn't have its own real-time clock. You change the date on the PlayStation. You skip ahead like 2 days. Only go by about 1 or 2 days, because if you go large amounts, it doesn't stack. It only stacks so far to a couple days. 1 or 2 days is best. Otherwise, you just won't gain anything else. Like, if you skip by an entire month, you won't gain more than what you would have done just skipping 2 days. So just keep skipping 2 days at a time. And when you get to the end of the month, you don't have to go to you don't necessarily have to go to a new month. You can go back to the first day. You can go back to 1. It's really messed up. You don't even have to go to a new year. You can just reset from 1 again and keep changing it. Just remember the actual date when you want to put it back on your PS4. And then you go back into the game when you change the date by 1 or 2 days, and your character will gain a bunch of XP. And you just keep doing this with each character until you can get them all to level 99. And the reason I did it for every character was because I just felt like it, just in case, because some characters are better for certain missions. I wasn't sure if I would have to be forced to use certain characters, which at the end of the game you actually are forced to split your party up. So it's best to sort of put all your characters level 99 balanced. They don't get all their stats maxed through this though. Like, my characters don't have 9999 health and 9999 or 999 MP and shit. But it still makes them pretty broken. The next thing that I think I want to talk about is the ending. So the ending is pretty decent. I mean, I didn't really... the ending is good, I'll say that. It redeems the story a little bit. It's slightly predictable. And there's a few twists and turns, but I liked the ending. The ending made the game feel like I had actually done something when I finished it. I didn't feel like I had just wasted my time playing this. And, like, I shouldn't have never bought this. I mean, I still sort of regretted buying it at full price, but I didn't regret playing through the game when I got to the end, because the ending actually made me feel, oh, this game is deeper than I gave it. It just sort of, these characters just sort of seem static, but at the end you see a few dynamic traits in these characters. And it's really interesting. It's nice to see, and it's a nice change of pace. The last section of the game that I want to talk about before I tell you whether or not you should pick it up is replay value. Does this game have any replayability at all? It actually does. There's a new game plus mechanic that carries over everything in the game, and the way it works is once you finish the game, you save, and you load your save. When you want to play a new game plus, you click continue and load your finished game, and it'll start a new game plus. It carries over everything. It carries over your character's levels, the items you have, everything, all the stats. And it also carries over cutscenes that you viewed, like, not cutscenes, but conversations, because there's this weird annoying mechanic in the game where it's not really annoying, it gives you more substance to the game. Between each mission, you'll get a certain amount of time that you have, free time that you can do whatever you want and go around the place. And every time you talk to somebody, it takes off like 2 hours of free time, and you only get 12-hour sections. Like, if they give you a day, when you cut out 12 hours of that day, it'll go to the next day automatically. You don't get all 24. You'll only get 12 hours each day. And so you pretty much just go around talking to people, and you'll get different cutscenes. You can leave academia, and when you come back, you'll have lost 6 hours. But the new game plus carries over all those conversations, and they give you check marks above the person's head that you've already spoken to that person in your previous playthrough. And what's nice about that is that you can talk to those people again and get the same cutscene, and it won't take your free time. So you can get more cutscenes, get more character development, learn more about the game. It's also a very easy platinum. I platinumed the game on the first playthrough, so I don't really know how much that speaks to its replay value. If you just focus on the story and you don't look at a guide or anything, you're not going to platinum it on the first playthrough, because there's side missions you have to do. But if you're the type of person that likes to do all the side mission stuff, you actually might end up platinuming it, but it's hard because the side missions are difficult. But that's besides the point. There's an alternate ending. Apparently, you're supposed to play through the game. You can play through the game 3 times, and there's an optional boss when you play through it the 3rd time. I don't know how much I can vouch for that. I know that when you play through it a 2nd time, you get an alternate ending, but I don't really know what I can say about the 3rd playthrough optional boss thing. So finally, down to the verdict. Is it worth it to get this game? Now, Final Fantasy Type-0 HD, while I enjoyed what I played, is a skippable title. You can skip this game and feel no ways about it, just not pick it up. Like, eventually it'll get out of your mind. You won't think about it anymore. It's one of those games that's like, oh, I really want to play it because I see stuff about it. I really, really want to play it. But when you pick it up, you're going to be slightly disappointed. So if you just skip it, it'll just phase out of your mind. If you really want to pick it up, try picking it up for around $20 to $30. And I know a friend who actually was able to get the day 1 edition for around $20 to $30 because it was on sale. They still make these day 1 editions. I don't know why they call them day 1 editions, because they still have a lot in serialization. You didn't have to pre-order it, which wasted my money. And you get the Final Fantasy 15 demo, which is really awesome. I can say that I really didn't enjoy this game until I finished it. Once they patched out the motion blur, I enjoyed it a little bit more, but I didn't enjoy playing this game normally. I only started enjoying it when I got all my characters to level 99, and I was just spamming one-shotting everything because I could actually get through the substance, the story to the game, and the gameplay wasn't very fun. So for my final verdict, I say, like I said, pick it up around $20 to $30 if you can. Otherwise, this game is pretty skippable. With all that being said, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out and lets me know that you're enjoying the content. I will catch you guys later. Peace.